What happens after awareness, after you finally see yourself clearly? Where do you go from there? What do you do next? In the second part of our relationship reset, we move from insight to action, from understanding ourselves to applying what we've learned in real time with the people we love.
Marcus joins us again, not as our coach and guide, but as someone who's helped us turn awareness into everyday practice. In this conversation, we go beyond the how into the why, taking a deep dive into our driving forces. What motivates us, what moves us, what unites us, and what can divide us if we're not paying attention. This episode is about building bridges between differences, learning to listen without defense, and discovering how love, leadership, and legacy all begin in the same place, within ourselves.
Welcome to the PIG, where we explore life, love, loss, and legacy through real conversations and meaningful stories with purpose, intention, and gratitude. We're Kelly and Erin, sisters, best friends, sometimes polar opposites, but always deeply connected by the life and love of our mother, Marcia, the one who taught us that every relationship can grow into something great when we lead with curiosity, courage, and compassion. Well, here we are back for part 2 of Disc and Driving Forces. Listeners, if you did not check out part 1, I'm encouraging you to go back and start there, because today isn't going to make a lot of sense to you if you didn't hear part 1, although you're still going to have a lot of fun because this is the PIG and we are really looking forward to a great adventure today. So last time, Marcus, we went through our behavioral assessments and spent some time looking at the comparison report, which we have put online for listeners so that they can actually get a sneak peek into who Erin and I are at a little bit deeper level and kind of go on the journey with us as we have reconnected as sisters through the Boxes Project and also working on the PIG podcast. And we take this information and these skills with us into every single guest interview. And so the work that we're doing here with you as our coach in the hot seat is really not just supporting us as individuals in our personal life, but also in our professional work and our hobby work, our fun work. We can't thank you enough for taking time to really explore this with us, to share it with listeners. And listeners, again, we want to remind you that you can log on to the website and you can actually pull up the report that we're looking at. So you can follow along in real time or go back and reference it later if you want to. We're going to do our very best to explain in detail what we are seeing on the screen so you can follow along. So Marcus, if you would you just give us a little recap of what we did last time with DISC, what DISC actually stands for, what we're looking at when we look at DISC behavioral styles, and not all DISC models are created equal. We're using a really great one. And what we're going to be looking at today as we take a dive into driving forces.
Absolutely. Great to be back with you ladies again today. I had tons of fun with you last episode, just kind of going through your behavioral style. And basically what we covered was something called DISC. It's a behavioral model that we can assess people on to understand how they're likely to do what they do, both personally and professionally, in 4 different continuums. One continuum being, how do they solve problems and challenges? We call that the D continuum, or driver. How do they influence other people to their point of view? We call that the influencer column, or I. What is their pace? Are they steady paced? Are they fast paced? How consistent or inconsistent would they do a job? We call that one S, or steady, in the DISC model. And then lastly, how well do they follow the rules, policies, and procedures set by other people? We call that conscientious and compliant, or C, in the DISC model. And we had a really great opportunity to go through your guys' comparison report, basically looking at you side by side, and to try to understand where you guys are similar or aligned very easily, and where you have to understand the differences between each other and how to bridge that gap by working towards each other through this understanding, so that you really are more seamless in how you live as sisters, how you work together as podcasters, and everything else that you do together in this life. We were able to have some fun. We laughed a little bit. There was some wonderful emotion, especially from the values page, where we really got to talk about what each of you valued about the other one from the report. And I love that page so much, as I said in the last episode, because you really just see people kind of surprised and really pleased and satisfied. And it just feels so good, to hear somebody say good things about you, things that maybe you didn't even think that they thought about you. So there's lots of good information in those reports. The first episode or last episode was a great one. And today we get to drive into the next section, which is driving forces. And this is a really fun episode too, because what we're going to be talking about today is why do you guys do what you do? Yes, last time it was how you do what you do. Now it's why. What motivations do you bring to your work and your personal life? What things do you value and not value? Where do you align and where do you not align? And we're going to really cover some great territory here. And then as we wrap up the episode today, we're going to actually take your disc and your driving forces, blend them together, and really come up with what we call the integration, where we get to look at some strengths, some weaknesses, some ideal environments, etc., with the blend of these two assessments in one on each of you.
Wow. Well, that was an incredible overview of what we have done so far and what we are looking forward to. So, thank you for that recap. And I am thrilled to dive into part two of this today.
Well, why don't we just get started? For all the listeners out there, the report that you've pulled up that you've been able to download offline, we're on page 13. It's titled Driving Characteristics. And basically, what we're looking at here are some general characteristics, a broad understanding of why Aaron and Kelly do what they do based on their top 4 driving forces. There's a total number of 12. And we're going to look at the top 4 in particular in this comparison report because these are the ones that really throw them into action. So as we start with this page, what I'd like to do is something we did in the disc as well, is we have some general characteristics about Aaron and some general characteristics about Kelly. And I'd like you, Aaron, please, to read the general characteristics about your sister Kelly to the audience today. And then we'll do the same thing with Kelly. And we'll just have a conversation after each of you reads what you have to say.
All right, sounds great. Driving characteristics. Kelly sees value in consuming current information from many sources. She sees herself as an intellectual and will seek opportunities to bring new information to the organization. She will be a great resource in helping to identify valuable and informational resources. She will flourish in an environment where she has the opportunity to create harmony and balance in her surroundings and relationships. Kelly is most comfortable working in an aesthetically pleasing environment. Looking and feeling good enhances her daily productivity. She is seeking opportunities to enhance her ever-changing system for living. She can be an out-of-the-box thinker. Kelly will complete tasks and projects without the need for public recognition. She can set aside her own agenda for the good of the company. She may see money as a necessary tool as opposed to a measurement of success. She may attempt to assist an individual or group to overcome adversity.
Very, very nice. Does that sound like the sister you know?
Yes, it does.
She's a lovely lady. I married her.
Yes, she is.
As you read those descriptions, once you really get familiar with these assessments, you can understand what her primary driving forces are without any graph to tell you exactly what she is. So, right out of the gate, we're talking about learning. She's intellectual. We start to then talk about her environment. She likes an aesthetically pleasing environment. She's harmonious. And then from there, we go into her receptiveness, always trying to look for new ways of doing things, that outside the box thinker. And then lastly, that highly collaborative nature that she has and wanting to work with others and pull things together. So right out of the bat, we know that Kelly is intellectual, number 1. She's harmonious, number 2. She is receptive, number 3, and collaborative, number 4. Kelly, any comments about what she read about you?
Check, 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 check. Yeah, I mean, that's just me to a T. And this, again, I said it in part 1, I'll say it here again. It is so freeing and liberating to see black and white words on paper that really tell the story of you. I think it gives people so much permission to just be authentically who they are and to stand in that confidence.
I agree. And I want to make sure everybody remembers there's no good, bad, right, or wrong here. This is just how you're built, what motivations you bring, what values you bring to your life and your work every day. And it's really how we manage those consciously. We all have positive and negative tendencies that can arise. And it's just a matter of being who you are, living out of your strength, living out of your potential as a human being, and being self aware so that when any tendencies arise that may interrupt that, you can redirect yourself in a better way.
I love that.
All right, Kelly, your turn. How about reading Aaron?
Erin feels a high level of satisfaction when she is able to create rapport and tranquility with others. Looking and feeling good enhances her daily productivity. She is most comfortable working in an aesthetically pleasing environment. She is comfortable starting a project before gathering all the necessary information. Erin may prefer a summary to a full length version. She will view and use knowledge as a needed resource or a means to an end. She values people for who they are versus what they can provide. She will not measure success based on her level of compensation. Erin wants to control her own destiny and display her independence. She may be energized by public recognition. She may pick and choose the traditions and beliefs to which she will adhere. Erin's intention to help others is determined on an individual basis.
Aaron, how does that sound?
That sounds like me.
Right out of the bat, look what we can identify here. Aaron, you're instinctive where your sister's intellectual, meaning that you really go off past experiences, gut intuition, instincts, and really only learn what you want to learn or need to learn. Kelly will learn anything for the sake of learning. She just wants to learn as much as she possibly can. And she has more trouble going off instinct, past experiences, etc., because you two are polar opposite ends of that same knowledge continuum where you're instinctive and she's intellectual. Not good, not bad, not right or wrong. In fact, I think that's a really great counterbalance for the both of you, because where Kelly may just want to learn, you can say, hey, sister, I think we might know enough about this already to move forward on that. And where you don't want to dig in and learn as much as you need to, she might say, hey, sister, I think we need to learn a little bit more about this so we're more of an authority on this topic and less of, not looking like we don't know what we're talking about. She can actually help you with that too, whether it's in business decisions or in life. And the other thing that we see here is that you're both harmonious. So you both are into the experience and the relationship we talked about in your disc last time. You guys are relationship oriented and you both want a harmonious, balanced, peaceful, pleasing experience with each other. And that's what's so important to understand as you guys continue to just grow your relationship through this process. Anything you want to add there, Aaron? Any comments about your particular description?
No, just like Kelly, it definitely describes me, what I would consider to be, very accurately.
Very nice.
I was thinking back to our conversation in part one about naming the episodes because Aaron brought that up.
That's right.
And, of course, we use all kinds of tools and I bring several names to the table. And Aaron instinctively, and this is part of the reason why I do this, is the intellectual part of me says, okay, based on what we know and what the topic and the conversation went like, we have this, this, and this. And I love sending those to Erin because her instinct says, I like this one. And so then we go back and forth on that. And on the harmonious side, I think that's why we actually love working on this project together and the outcomes that we produce together, because the harmony part of it is so important to us. So as we were talking about that, there was just two things that came up for me from our part one conversation. I
Absolutely.
love
That's so
that.
wonderful. You guys have realizations as we go. That's really what this is about. When you work through an assessment like this with anybody, you're hoping to have light bulb moments, realizations, things like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that before. Greater levels of understanding, greater levels of awareness equal greater levels of opportunity for success and happiness, period. All right, ladies, let's go to page 14 now and take a look here at your primary cluster driving forces wheel. And what this is basically letting us know is where you guys have similar driving forces, where you have different ones, and also their level of intensity. So we look down at the bottom underneath the wheel, wherever we see a number 1, that is your first driving force, 2 is second, 3 is your third driving force, and 4 is your fourth driving force. Aaron is blue, Kelly is green. So let's start with Aaron. Aaron, we can see that your number one driving force is harmonious. You are passionately harmonious. This is a big deal to you. Anytime, have you noticed that whenever something kind of goes wrong in your world, one little thing can kind of throw everything off in your universe? Have you noticed that?
Oh, yes.
The higher harmonious we are, the more of a high S you are, the more likely that's the case because we're so sensitive to changes in the environment, our personal environment. And what you're seeking is harmony and balance in your environment. So when it gets tilted, it really tilts.
Yeah, that describes me perfectly. And I would even say then I am very easily distracted. And so when
Mm-hmm.
things aren't harmonious, if there's dirty dishes in the sink or if my desk is cluttered, I am far less productive. It's really hard for me to work in an environment that feels chaotic.
There you go. There you go. Does it happen with relationships too? Like, because we're talking about harmonious nature just in your relationships as well, the experience of life. So if one little thing goes wrong in one experience, it can kind of tilt you pretty big until you can figure out what's going on and try to work through it with the other person, correct?
Yes, very much so. And I feel like everything in my life kind of touches everything else. I don't compartmentalize things very well. I feel like everything's connected in my world. And so if something's off at work, then it carries over into my home life. Or if something's off at home, it carries into my work in my day to day. So I just feel like it's like spaghetti, like everything touches.
No, it's good. That's very good analogy. Kelly, you're number two harmonious. So that's your second driving force that you have. Very strong in you as well. Do some of those things we just talked about with Aaron resonate with you too?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Little hiccups, that come up can throw me off kilter or out of whack. I think this is where, really working on staying tuned in to my internal environment as well as my external environment really helps me a lot. But yes, I don't go to bed without the dishes being done. I don't start my day without the dishes being put away and the bed being made. And that harmony in my environment, working in a really uncluttered space,
Yeah.
about every 2 weeks or so, I really have to get in and clean my office, right? Make sure everything's kind of put away where it belongs. And I like our home to be nice and clean and tidy and look pretty. Our home both inside and outside. So I see this play out in so many areas of my life.
And I think there's a great point to make here. So both of you are low C. Okay. In your disc, you're both low C, which means that you wouldn't necessarily be the neatest, tidiest people. But here's what's important. You're both highly harmonious, meaning that your driving force overpowers your low C in your disc and makes you do the dishes, make the bed, put things away. We have to understand as we're going through this, the driving force is stronger than your disc. And when we put the two together, they really become powerful. So this is why you guys are orderly and neat and structured in that sense, because and what or structure, not chaos, is because you want harmony and balance through your harmonious driving force.
I think that's a great explanation too, Marcus, because we do know that two people can have the exact same behavioral profile or very similar behavioral graph, say
That's right.
adapted and natural, and yet their driving forces could be completely opposite. So if they just look at their behavioral assessment and there are still differences to overcome and they don't understand why, it's because they haven't dug deeper down to that underneath layer of why, because the why drives the how.
Exactly. Well stated, Kelly. It's so important. I think, it's really wise to try to do a disc and a driving forces together because you're not getting the whole story if you just do one or the other. You're getting more of the whole story if you do both. So it's neat that we get to look at both sides of you guys today because you do have some similarities in your disc, but you also have a lot of differences in your driving forces, as we can see from page 14. The only place where you guys actually have the same driving force is harmonious.
Mm-hmm.
The only
Yeah.
one. Everything else, the other three for each of you is different. And these are powerful. Disc, we adapt. We can walk into the front door of our work or we can walk into our front door of our home. And our brain is like a supercomputer. It assesses the environment, what the perceived demands and needs are of that environment. And it adjusts our behavioral style to meet those perceived needs and demands so that we can fulfill them. They change on a daily basis and they change easier. These driving forces are more like fence posts stuck in concrete. They don't really move unless there's a critical life incident, something really positive or really negative that happened to sort of shake you to the core as a being and reconfigure how you value things and why you do what you do. So these are powerful, what we're talking about today. And we'll just dig a little bit deeper, continue to show some of that power to you guys and the listeners as well. When we go over to you, Kelly, as we talked about earlier, number one is intellectual, truth seeker, inquisitive, perpetual. And I can attest to that, everybody. She is 100%. She is passionately intellectual. I'm instinctive. I'm like Aaron. Aaron, you and I have some similarities. And then Aaron's number two is instinctive, the opposite of Kelly, the other side of the continuum here, where she's just interested in relevant knowledge. She's intuitive, and it's only essential or desirable knowledge that she's after. The rest of it, I don't really care. So quite a difference. But as we talked about earlier, you guys can counterbalance each other once you know how to work with this thing, which we talked about a little bit earlier.
Do you want to share the fun story about an intellectual?
I do. This is a fun story. I thought about it. All right. So here it is. My wife and I were in the car driving to Zion National Park, and we were coming in on the east entrance. And before you get to the park, you kind of come around this corner, and there's these open grassy meadows with the spruce forest sort of dotted throughout them. And we came around this corner, and out of this one spruce forest, I don't know, it must have been 200 or so wild turkeys were streaming out of this forest to feed in the open grassland or meadow in the evening. And I said, "Get that, sweetheart. There's like, I've never seen that many wild turkeys in one place in my life." And she said, "I haven't either." I said, "I wonder what they're called." And she goes, "Me too." But we just kept driving. We didn't have internet. And so we kept driving, and about 2 miles down the road, out of this another spruce forest, were even more turkeys. I think there had to have been at least 300 streaming out of this
Oh,
forest. It
yeah.
was an absolutely incredible sight.
So cool.
And I said to her again, "I wonder what in the world those are called." Now, I was curious. Okay. My instinctive was curious because I like nature. So I was interested in because it was something I like. As soon as we got into cell phone range, my wife got on her phone, she Googled it, and she came back with the answer. That many wild turkeys is called a rafter, Rafter. So now everybody knows. And that's the difference. An intellectual person must know the information. They can't resist looking. An instinctive person is like, well, I'm just kind of curious about it. And if they really, really, really want to know, they'll look it up. But fortunately, I have my wife. And so she helped me learn what it was.
I
I love
inherited
that.
it from Pop.
Yes.
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 If our listeners go back and listen to Pop's episodes, and we talk a lot about that, he is the master
Yep.
intellectual in our family.
He must know. If we
So
go here to
fun.
your number three driving force, we can see that Aaron, you're actually in the selfless category, meaning when you perform your work, it's not that you're trying to get an ROI in terms of financial reward as much as it's doing your work, doing it well, having satisfaction in the work that you do, having the time and the resources to do it. And we know that you don't like to be pushed, right? We talked about that yesterday. So if your manager gives you the time and the resources to do your work so you can do it well and you can feel that satisfaction of having completed it and done it well, that's pretty rewarding to you in all likelihood, according to what we're seeing from this graph. Would you agree?
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
Okay. Kelly, your number three is receptive. So not only are you a low C and disc outside the box thinker, high intellectual, but you're also receptive. Think about that. Right there, you have three marks of a human being who just wants as much information as you can. I want to think outside the box. There's that big thinker that your sister praised you for yesterday. And then what are new ways we can do this? What are better ways that we can do this? Always looking. And that's something you have done since I've known you. It's just a part of who you are. It has not changed, that part of you. And then your number four, Kelly, comes in as collaborative, really wanting to partner with people, empower others, synergistic, kind of work with a talented group of people behind the scenes, not necessarily looking for the accolades or the leadership role, but really bringing people together and doing great work together as a team. This is really strong in you. It's your number four. Do you have anything to say about that one?
No, other than you nailed it. I love collaborating with all people, personally and professionally. In fact, versus going at it alone, I would always love to do something in partnership with somebody else.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If we look at Erin, she's directly across the same continuum from you, just like with the knowledge continuum. This is the power continuum. She's commanding in her number 4 position. So she really would like more prestige, recognition. She would like to be known as the leader, have a more of a legacy in this life, a living legacy that lives on after she is gone, which I think is interesting because part of your show is about legacy, right? Here you guys had this difference. And so here's another opportunity to work together and counterbalance each other. Collaboration is a wonderful thing, and so is wanting to lead or have control over one's destiny. And you can go a little bit either way with this and really help each other out. And there may be times where this becomes a rub if you don't remember it in the moment, because Erin may want to take the wheel a little bit more. She may be a little frustrated because she feels like she can't take the wheel a little bit more because you're her bigger sister. And some of that bias is still in there. And she needs to be able to move past that a little bit and come into this new relationship with you, understanding that she does want to have a little more control over her destiny. And that's okay. There's no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's as long as you guys talk about it.
I love it. Yeah.
Me too. Fascinating.
All right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it builds off to so many of the conversations that Erin and I continue to have in relation to the Boxes project that we're working on. As we look at that wheel and those core driving forces and where we are similar in our harmonious and where we are different in our collaborative versus commanding and our intellectual versus instinctive, so much of this goes back to even our childhood. I'm reflecting on conversations that we've had where we're remembering certain memories or we're opening up about certain experiences. And we're talking about where some of that disconnection and where some of that rub actually took place. And I can see some of that, not so much in the behavioral styles in the disc, but especially when we start to get into the driving forces and our values, and where we may have butted heads a little bit, swept those crumbs underneath the carpet and just let them sit there forever instead of having the confidence and trust in that safe environment that we've created for each other to just have an open dialogue and a conversation about it without hurt feelings, without anybody getting upset, without pointing fingers, without any blame, without any good, bad, right, or wrong. Just reminding each other and ourselves of who we are and who each other are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you for expanding on that. I completely agree. And I think that it's also interesting reflecting on conversations that we've had. And especially, yes, like you said, working with Chris Howard on the Boxes project and some of these really raw conversations that we've had about especially certain aspects of our childhood and family members, and just knowing these things, these aspects of ourselves and each other. It's also interesting to be able to put words to why you want answers about certain things and how life unfolded the way that it did. Whereas I don't necessarily always need to know the A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3 steps of how we got to that place. I know we got there, and then I know we came out on the other side. And for me, a lot of times it's just good enough.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And I think that it's human nature, especially in siblings, and we're 7 years apart in age, to say, oh, well, that's her being a bossy, bratty big sister or her being a bratty little sister, instead of saying, no, we're just two different human beings. And it's really showing up in this specific report. And I think this has been one of the greatest aspects of our reconnecting and building the relationship of our dreams, not just through the process of working on the boxes and doing the podcast together, but really respecting one another as the human beings that we were born and created to be.
Yeah.
And it's a really wise choice, because you are different, but you're both wonderful in your own right. And if we go to page 15 of the report, we get to talk a little bit more about those differences and those similarities and some things to watch out for as you move forward, because there's some real key markers on this page. A couple of things I'll point out first. Erin's on the left, Kelly's on the right. And if you just look, we can look by color. And by color alone, we can identify where you're similar and where you're different. Okay. So we know if we look at Aaron number one harmonious and Kelly number two harmonious, those are the same driving force. Those are the same why, the same value that you guys have there. Aaron's is 92, Kelly's is 67. And pay attention to the gray wedge, the average, where 68% of respondents score underneath there. You are so far ahead. You are 3 standard deviations above the mean, Aaron, that you are extremely passionate. Very few people in the world live up there with you. So that value that you have for harmoniousness is more than many, many people have, and could be hard for some people to relate to. The good news about you and Kelly is that Kelly's at 76. She's 2 standard deviations above the mean, and she is passionately harmonious. So she can live in that world with you in relative ease because you two are close enough together in your scores to be able to really value this dimension at a very, very high level. It's almost as if you're speaking each other's language here, if you will, naturally. Kind of feels good, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
The next thing that we'll see is that you also have 2 red bars. So Aaron has number 2 instinctive and Kelly has number 1 intellectual. Again, Aaron is extremely passionately instinctive. She really only wants to know what she really only wants to know or needs to know. The rest of it, it has no room in her life. She doesn't value it. It's not going to move her into action to do it. This is important for Kelly to know because Kelly is 88. She is 2 standard deviations above the mean, above the average here. She is passionately intellectual and she's driven to know. She has to know, just like you talked about, Aaron, with what's happening in the family. I kind of know we're here. I kind of know some things and we're over it. Now we're on with our lives. And Kelly's like, I have to understand why this all happened. What does it mean? Why did this happen? And so for you guys to understand this, because you're at the opposite ends of this continuum, is very important. Kelly may want, why doesn't Aaron want to know more about this? Well, because she's extremely passionately instinctive. And for whatever reason, it's not necessary or desirable for her. Maybe that's a conversation to find out how she feels about it. And maybe by talking about it, she may be more excited about it. But if we don't talk about it, we just get frustrated with it, then that's where we kind of rub each other raw a little bit. And the same is true for Aaron with Kelly. Why do you want to know so much about this? Why is it so important that you absolutely have to know when we don't even know where to go to find the knowledge or something like that? And then you guys can have a conversation, try to understand Kelly's drive even better. And then that helps you guys come closer together in that difference of value to really be able to live and work together in a superior way.
May I share something that just popped into my head?
Oh, yes.
It's this concept of caring, because I have caught myself at times in the past saying, why doesn't Aaron care? And I'm sure Aaron, maybe, you'll have to answer this for yourself, has thought, why does she care so much?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not about caring. It's about motivation, or what we value, or what we need for understanding. It has nothing to do with caring. Aaron and I both care to the depths of who we are as human beings. We just care a little bit about something different that we're bringing to the table to find that commonality, to find that balance point, to find that place in the middle where we both feel comfortable moving forward.
Well said. Well said. It isn't about not caring. It's about what we value and what motivates us. That's right.
Yeah.
And if we go a little bit further, we can see that now we're starting to get into some different colors here. Number 3, Aaron, selfless. Again, you are 2 standard deviations above the mean. So you are passionately selfless. This is a big deal for you. This is important for your sister to understand, where Kelly is able to move faster, has a greater sense of urgency, etc. And she looks at you and she's maybe wanting something from you to produce something or whatever the case may be. And she has to understand that you have a pace, and that pace is pretty set. It really is. With your high S and your high selfless, your pace is pretty set. At the same time, there are probably times where you could have a greater sense of urgency and meet the deadline a little bit better if you prioritize what you were working on, for example. And that's just a conversation again, as opposed to getting frustrated with each other, so that you can work with each other based on how you're built, not what you expect or think the other person should or shouldn't do. That's where we get into trouble. This is really where we open up the door to great relationships, great communication, and great outcomes.
Mm, love it.
And then, Kelly, your number 3 is receptive. Now, receptive, you're passionate here too. 72 above the average, 2 standard deviations above the mean. And so you're extremely, really, really open. And Aaron's not as open as you. Aaron leans more towards structured than receptive, which is on the same exact continuum. So Aaron has a little bit more black and white, right and wrong, good and bad. This is how it's been. This is how it always should be. Customs and things like that, right? So holiday traditions are very important to her. Not that they're not to you, sweetheart, but they're more to Aaron. And so this is another area where Kelly may always bring new ideas to the table, new ways of doing things. And Aaron's like, but it's working the way it is. And so you guys may have a revel over
Yeah.
something like that. And that's a point of talking again, knowing that one of you is a little bit more structured, a little bit more closed-minded about how things can be, and the other one is the opposite. And so let's meet in the middle. Where can we find common ground on this one and work through any sort of snag that we might encounter? Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. That's
I
cool.
think it's good you guys can kind of laugh about it as we talk about it. You're recognizing, remembering different times when this has happened. And that's really what's fun about this.
Yeah.
If we come down to your last 4 driving forces, okay, these are your number 4. They're not your strongest, most powerful ones, but they are, the juice is always flowing through both of these. Again, you're on the same continuum, but at opposite ends of it. And that is Aaron commanding. She's only mainstream though. She's right at the mean, center of the average. So Aaron isn't like over the top crazy. I want to lead. I want recognition. I want status. I want power. I want legacy. She's average with that. So it's not going to show up aggressively in her in all likelihood, but she does have those feelings, I would imagine. Is that true, Aaron?
Yeah, that's true for sure.
And then Kelly, you are passionately collaborative. You are passionate. All your top four driving forces, Kelly, are all passionate, meaning that you're up there above where most people score in this particular area. And so you have very strong feelings about it, very strong motivations around this. And that's important to understand as you're dealing with anyone, but including your sister in this situation, whereas collaboration matters so much to you. And, you said yesterday, one of the things you don't want from your sister in communication is being curt, cold, or tight-lipped. You need knowledge, you value connection, and you want to communicate. And so when Aaron doesn't collaborate with you in the communication that you need, it can be very frustrating with you, but she wants control of her own destiny to do what she wants to do when she wants to do it in the moment she wants to do it, because she's obstinate, as we talked about yesterday too, in her C and her disc. So putting all these pieces of the puzzle together is what's so beautiful, because now we're starting to say, oh, all this stuff makes you who you are. And all we have to do is understand it, communicate, work together, and be the best sisters we can be. And it's all going to be fantastic.
Oh, I love that so much.
Aaron, I was immediately thinking about when I'll send you messages about every single thing we're making decisions on, because I love to collaborate and I want your input and your ideas, and you're like, go with your gut, whatever you think. I'm good.
I trust you.
I'm like, no, give me your ideas. Tell me what you think. You're like, no, just go with it. I think it's awesome. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, here we go.
But see, that's good information for me to have now so that I can change my approach a little bit.
Fair, right? That's exactly
Yeah,
what it is right there.
absolutely.
Well
So
done, ladies.
fun.
And so if we keep going a little bit further to page 16 here, what we're going to look at is there's a total of 12 driving forces. And on this first page 16, we get to look at the first 6. And remember, each one of these is 2 ends of a continuum. So like when we look at knowledge, the red bar, instinctive is on one side, intellectual is on the other. And as you score out towards them, the score gets stronger and stronger and stronger. We can look at your guys' score on this page. Aaron scored
Wow.
76 instinctive. Kelly scored 0. Now look at the next one. Aaron scored 6 intellectual and Kelly scored 88. This is the Grand Canyon, people. You guys are so far apart on this, it's not even funny, but yet we can laugh about it, understand it, and work with it once we know
Yeah.
what it is and how it really plays out in the lives of the people we love and work with, you know?
Yeah. I think
I
that that's the key is understanding, just understanding
Yes,
that we're different and it's good that we're different and it's okay to be different. And it removes, the expectation of wanting people to think more like us or do things more our way. Having these tools and resources eliminates that, because now I have no, how do I word this? It removes those thoughts of I wish Kelly did it this way, or I wish she thought more like me about this. Instead, it's embracing the differences and understanding where we're both strong and how that complements each other.
absolutely. Well said.
Yeah,
Well said.
it's instead of what's wrong with her, it's my yin to your yang
Yeah.
There
and
you
your
go.
yang to my yin. And I think especially on this knowledge continuum, instinctive versus intellectual, we dove headfirst into a new project in a new platform that neither one of us had ever done before with any experience whatsoever. And so this has been a really incredible learning curve. And we have very successfully, and I'm actually really proud of us, leaned into both intellect and instinct. And here we are. I think this is really great. I think it's a
Yeah,
celebration.
I
Uh,
agree.
it is. It's wonderful. And if we continue down the page, we're going to come to the next continuum, utility. This showed up for Erin, selfless number 3, right? And so she scored a 64. Kelly scored a 68. The difference is only 6 points. Selfless actually shows up in Kelly's indifferent group of driving force clusters that are on sometimes and not on other times. So you guys are really close here. In other words, the difference between you is literally 6 points. So I don't think you're ever going to have a real issue on the selfless thing. Kelly likes to have enough time and the resources to do the work and do the work well too. She gets that just like you do. It's just that it's really strong in you because it's in your top 4.
Hmm.
If we look at resourceful underneath that, which is on the same continuum, these are people who value an ROI, a return on their investment, wanting to maximize the return on all resources. You both scored a 17. You scored exactly the same score.
Huh.
There's no difference between the two of you. You're not in a lot of things for the money necessarily. What you're in it for is the satisfaction of doing something powerful and meaningful. It's beautiful.
I
We
love how perfectly that represents what we're doing here.
Yeah. If we go down to the next one, surroundings, this is where your guys' harmonious comes out of, right? So one end of that continuum is objective, the other end is harmonious. We'll start with your harmonious scores. Erin, you scored a 92. Kelly, you scored a 76. You're both passionate. Erin's just extremely passionate. So she's over the top harmonious, right? But you both understand this here and you both live your life. This is a very important component for both of you. It's like a nutrient that you must have on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis to feel balanced and
Mm.
fulfilled and good and solid in your life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And the objective one up above, we can see Erin scored a 0 in objective, which doesn't surprise me because she scored a 92 on harmonious. So exceptionally passionate about harmonious. I don't care about the objective nature of things. And Kelly scored a 14, very low too. So both of you are indifferent. This does not matter. It does not drive you into action. It is not a value that you have. And the difference is harmonious people are all about the harmony of the experience, balance of the experience, harmony. What do things smell like, look like, taste like, feel like? Objective people simply just want what they need to do the job. Put them in a room. I don't need windows. I don't need pictures of my family. I don't need anything but the computer, the printer, whatever it is I need to do my job, and I'm happy. People like you guys need windows, you need light, you need plants, you need pictures of family. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong. Again, it's just very different. And because you guys are so harmonious and you're high I, you're more prone to easily being distracted. In other words, squirrel, all the time, squirrel, right? Anything that moves by, it captures your attention. Your phone buzzes, it lights up, it captures your attention. Objective people have the ability to stay focused in the center of chaos on what they're doing because they're not interested in the experience. They're interested in getting it done. You guys are interested in experience. So it's like little sparks flying left and right as you get distracted by different things. It's a challenge that you guys have that is worth working on. It will actually help you to gain some control with that one.
Huh?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
uh-huh.
sorry, what?
I
I
wish
love.
I wish listeners could see Aaron's head is like, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
And so if we go down to page 17, we're going to get a look at the last six of these driving forces. The first continuum is called others, where you're either intentional or altruistic. Intentional people really are people who help other people if there's something in it for them, if the person's willing to help themselves, or if helping them will help this person move something along. Altruistic people help simply for the sake of helping. They just want to reduce suffering in the world. And you guys scored rather similarly here. So when it came to intentional, Aaron, you were 47, Kelly, you were 44. 3 points difference between the two of you. This falls into your situational driving forces category. In certain situations, this will be on. In certain situations, this will be off, depending on the situation. When it comes to that power, next one, we know that you're both on opposite ends of this. Aaron, you're commanding, and Kelly, you're collaborative. So if we look at your scores, right, we can see that with collaborative, Aaron scores a 28. Kelly scores a 61. Big difference, 33 points. That's wide. And so there is a difference that will have to be talked about, or it may cause you some challenges, like we talked about earlier. Commanding, Aaron scored a 49, Kelly a 21. Again, pretty good little gap right there. Commanding, we know, is in Aaron's top, and Kelly's commanding is down in her indifferent. That's not really what drives her. So she doesn't understand that value quite as well as Aaron does. When we come to the last continuum methodologies, you're either receptive or you're structured. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. Kelly, we know that receptive is your number 3 driving force. You scored a 72, Aaron scored a 35. But
Hmm.
look at the next one. Aaron scored a 47 on structured, whereas Kelly scored a 17. So Aaron structured is in her situational category, sometimes on, sometimes off. And Kelly's structured is off all the time. It's just not on. And so there's a pretty good divide between these as well that are worth talking about if you guys happen to come up against being too open, being too willing to try new things and always changing the direction and the mark and trying something new, or just can we just stay with what works, sister? That thing that we talked about earlier.
Got it.
So hopefully, did you guys find these pages helpful just to kind of see overall what your scores were, what the difference was? In other words, the greater the difference, the larger the gap to close between the two of you. Does that make sense?
Yes. So, what are some of the strategies of closing those gaps? Because we know there's listening and communication. Are there some strategies for us, for other people who may take a dive into disc and driving forces work to really overcome these differences when they show up? Or are the strategies really specific to each part of the continuum?
Well, I think there's some basic things that everybody can do. So, number one is understanding exactly what the difference is. And the only way you get that is having an assessment like this that shows you where you score and what the difference actually is between you and the other person. From there, it's a willingness and openness to
Mhm.
accept that there is a difference and that that is okay. And number two, an openness and willingness to learn more about that position the other person has by talking to them. Why do you see it this way? Why is this such a strong value for you? You never know. You might learn something about the world, about life, or about that person if you're willing to actually ask those really genuine, neutral questions, listen intently, and be able to really try to understand the other person. And I think once people do that, they get the understanding of what's really going on here. And they also start to say, hey, you know what? I think we can help each other at different times because sometimes your driving force needs to lead here and sometimes mine does. And sometimes we can combine them together and they really counterbalance us. That's how this really works.
Where I find this so powerful is it gives language to some of those spaces where you may be making assumptions, but you just don't have the accurate information. And so to have the words on paper and to have definitions and meaning attached to those words, I find helps have those very meaningful conversations to overcome challenge, to overcome assumption, to not think or feel negatively about somebody else, but just say, I want to raise my level of empathy. I want to understand more. I want to have a closer human connection. And this is just a really, really great opportunity to bring that to the forefront.
Agreed. And I didn't once know this information myself. And I'll tell you that now that I know it, I was running blind. And so is
Hmm.
everybody else who doesn't have this information. We have some ideas about things, we have some feelings, but mostly what we have is judgments and assumptions. And
Hmm.
when you get the real information and you do the real work, guess what? The assumptions go out the window, so do the judgments. We stop taking things personally. We have greater understanding and compassion, empathy for each other. We're able to work together, communicate, and live together at higher levels. Otherwise, we're running blind. That's why I work with these assessments with people because I know the power.
I want to say something too, because one of the things that has been so powerful for me personally, having this knowledge, is I feel like so often when we don't really understand who we are or why we do the things that we do, then it leaves us really open for other people dictating that in our lives, right? And so I have found myself thinking back into times of my life where I just believed what other people
Mm.
said to me or about me to be
Mm-hmm.
true. And it wasn't that I necessarily agreed with it, but I didn't stand strong enough in who I was or understand myself enough to know who I was and why I am the way that I am and how I operate and how I think and what I believe and what drives me and all of the things. So I feel like having, like Kelly said, having the vocabulary, having the words to read and reread and study and absorb into my own heart and mind and soul and brain about this is who I am and this is how I operate in this world has given me the ability to just give myself some more grace and not
Mm.
necessarily really try to change certain things about myself. And there are things that I have changed and continue to improve upon, but it has just given me permission to be me. And then the thing that changes then is how I respond to the things that people say and do around me, because I can't control that, but then I can control how I respond to that. But these assessments have given me a lot of language and a lot of tools and a lot of knowledge about myself and how I operate that I didn't have before. And so it's very empowering.
There's the word. I love it. I love it because now you get to stand on your own 2 feet in the world, more solid as who you are, a greater understanding of yourself, others, the reality in which you work, and you're so much more empowered in the face of your reality and with other people. How good does that feel, Aaron?
Really good.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That's one of the things I really like to try to do with people is hope that they will get what it is you just talked about with that because it all starts with us, right? And understanding yourself first is the first thing. And we spend so much time looking around the world trying to understand other people, systems, how to go along, how to get along. We need to turn our gaze back upon ourselves and really understand ourselves more and bring that more into balance, that continuum of understanding. And
Mm.
I just love the way you described it. It was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, now what we get to do, ladies, is we get to go to page 18 and we get to look at some potential strengths that come right out of your top four driving forces. Okay. And what I'd like to do here is I'd like to have Kelly read Aaron's strengths and Aaron read Kelly's. And through your opposite lenses of perception, give each other some feedback about what you see as their top three potential strengths out of this list of seven.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll read all of Kelly's strengths and then I'll highlight
The three.
the top three.
Here you go.
Okay, Kelly's strengths. Kelly continually seeks new knowledge and information. She focuses on information and facts. She seeks to make the unknown known. She values the journey as much as the destination. Kelly tends to focus on the emotions and balance in the environment. She might be open to new ideas, methods, and opportunities, and she may feel comfortable in a supporting role. Those are all incredible strengths, and I see all of those in you for sure. I think that the top three that really jump out to me are, my gosh, how do I choose three? Kelly tends to focus on the emotions and balance in the environment. And I see that in work and in play and literally in the environment. So that one just really speaks to me. And I know how highly emotional you are and how it is a strength. And I think that often we see that as a weakness, but it is a strength. So Kelly tends to focus on the emotions and balance in the environment. Yes. She values the journey as much as the destination. I love that. You really do embrace the journey, the adventure of it all. You want to get to the destination, but you are able to enjoy the journey, which I love. And I'll go back with number one. Kelly continually seeks new knowledge and information.
Very nice. So basically, what you did was, is the last one you picked comes right out of her intellectual driving force, and number four and number five come right out of her harmonious. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
Kelly, how about Aaron's strengths?
Oh, this will be fun. Erin's strengths. Erin values the journey as much as the destination. She sees value in and enjoys the experience of her surroundings. She sees the importance of the experience. She is able to quickly apply past knowledge. Erin is efficient, seeking specific information to address a current situation. She might provide assistance and resources with minimal expectation of personal return. She may value status and public recognition. Again, all great strengths. I think it'd be so fun for people to print this and always keep it somewhere where they can see it about
Yes.
themselves and
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
Okay, so the top three, I'm going to tap into my zero instinctive and just go with my gut. Because my intellectual wants to sit here and process through all of these for a long time. I'm going to pick Erin is efficient, seeking specific information to address a current situation. Erin, when something comes up that demands an immediate decision or we are moving forward on something very specific, you do have this really efficient capacity to just pull exactly what you need to pull from what you know or have learned and apply it to that situation in the moment. I think that's really awesome. Erin sees value in and enjoys the experience of her surroundings. And I know this aligns with our harmonious, but I've always respected this so much about you, and I enjoy it every time I have the privilege of visiting you because we live in different cities and coming into your home. And I also love your love for succulents and how much you enjoy potting and repotting and buying new pots and populating all of your supplements and not supplements, your succulents. And I know that that brings you so much joy and so much pleasure. And so that part of your surroundings, I also know that when, especially recently, you have been in a situation where your surroundings have been a little bit chaotic. For example, pulling out all of the bins and boxes because we're working on the boxes project and they're stacked up in the living room because you can't get in them into the garage because somebody hasn't moved out yet, that just works on you at such a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And your home is always beautiful and colorful and pictures, and it's just a representation of you and your family and your boys. And so I love that one about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to pick number six. The Erin might provide assistance and resources with minimal expectation of personal return. And what I see really here, Erin, is your value on building personal relationships with people that are authentic and genuine and that they're not based on what can I get or, what can somebody else get, but they're really based and steeped in the joy and satisfaction that having that relationship in your life means to you. And I feel lucky that I'm one of those chosen people.
Very good, ladies. So, what I want to share with everybody here is that her number two that you pick, Kelly, comes right out of her harmonious. Her number 5 comes out of her instinctive, and her number 6 comes out of her selfless driving force. And the other thing I want to ask you guys right here, right now is, again, having you guys look at each other's potential strength to share what you just shared with each other. How did that feel?
Oh, feels so good. Thank you, sister.
It does feel good. You know, Aaron and I are both sensitive souls, and I think that that comes through in our podcast where we both care very deeply. And we've overcome a lot of obstacle and a lot of challenge to get to this place. And so to go through these exercises together, to read these out loud about each other and to hear them about ourselves through somebody else's eyes, through their lens of perception, that's just an extraordinary gift.
It's a lot of fun. It's always good to watch people's facial expressions when I do this with them, whether in person or via Zoom, because there were some things you said about Erin. She kind of like, wow. Even when Erin read some of her strengths on the page, she was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that about myself." And then you reinforced that by picking that very one that she had that reaction to, and
Yeah.
so it really helps to drive it home.
Mm, that's cool.
Well, next up is your limitations, page 19 of your report. And there's two ways that this can be done, where either I had the same process where you guys look at each other's limitations, but I'd like to do it where you look at your own limitations. This is an exercise in self-awareness now, okay? So you're going to read some things on these pages that are potential limitations of you, given your primary driving forces, your top 4 driving forces. And I'd just like to challenge you a little bit to just be open, just self-discerning in a really good way with yourself, and just really be transparent with what you view as your possible limitations. And we'll start with you, Kelly. If we could have you read your list and then pick your 3, please.
Kelly's limitations. Kelly can value discovery over other priorities. She may have difficulty when it comes time to apply the knowledge she has gained. She may make decisions without subjective or emotional considerations. Kelly's subjective feeling can conflict with objective reality. Her pursuit of experience supersedes practical concerns. She seeks change for the sake of change. She may pass on leadership opportunities.
Very good. So, which
I
ones, what are you thinking here? What are you seeing in yourself?
I'm definitely going to pick number 1. Kelly can value discovery over other priorities. I can get lost in learning wormholes
Yes.
and continuing to learn and uncover and oh, well, that's intriguing and interesting. So I'll go down that rabbit hole and then that rabbit hole and then that rabbit hole. And then all this time, it's man, I've learned a lot. I've gained a lot of knowledge, but sometimes that can actually waste time. And then I lose that time to complete other projects or priorities that also demand attention. The second one I will pick, her pursuit of experiences supersedes practical concerns. I do love the journey and the experience, and I really always do focus on what can I learn from this experience? How can I grow from this experience? And so, yes, sometimes the pursuit of this experience can supersede practical matters. We could have a whole episode just on that one. And I'm actually going to pick she may pass on leadership opportunities. And I think this comes from not acknowledging that I'm a good leader or a capable leader. It is not having to be in or recognized as the leader. And so sometimes I will pass on those opportunities merely because I don't need to be in that position. And I love collaborating together as a team or in partnership. So it's not about leading, it's more about collaborating and partnering.
Given that these are possible limitations, do you think that you ever limit yourself? You are driven to be collaborative, no doubt, and there are probably certain situations where you are the person in the room that
Hmm.
should be leading what's going on, and you may pass on that because you're so focused on the collaborative aspect when you still can collaborate as a leader.
Absolutely.
Okay, well done, sweetheart. Good job. Aaron, your turn.
All right. Aaron's subjective feeling can conflict with objective reality. If Erin identifies an imbalance or distraction in one area, it may affect other or all aspects of life. She may be unable to perform when she feels out of balance. She may start a project without all the required information. Erin can rely too much on past experience and intuition. She can potentially waste resources. She may not consider people when seeking personal advancement. Okay, well, number 2 is exactly what I was just talking about earlier. So nailed that one. If Erin identifies an imbalance or distraction in one area, it may affect other or all aspects of life. That goes back to the spaghetti analogy where everything in my life touches everything else. And I do feel like if something is off balance in one area of my life, then all of a sudden, all areas of my life, most areas of my life at least, feel out of whack. So that is very true for me. And so number 3 falls right on the heels of that and is also very accurate. She may be unable to perform when she feels out of balance. I do feel like I freeze when I'm out of balance. And then everything seems overwhelming. And so then I don't know where to start. So then I just don't start. And so that's a really vicious cycle, actually, in my life, in a lot of ways. And so that is definitely something that is a limitation for sure, and definitely something that I need to navigate through. And then the third one I'm going to pick is I'm going to pick number 6. She can potentially waste resources. With the first resource that comes to mind is time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's our most valuable resource. And again, speaking to what I just shared, with sometimes when I'm out of balance, I just freeze. And so then that becomes a time waster for me. And I can spend a lot of time doing nothing because I don't know what to do or where to start or, yes, feel
Well
very
done.
overwhelmed, and so then I just freeze.
Well done. And one of the marks of the one you just talked about, number 6, that's coming out of your selfless category, is you're not focused on efficiency of resources or efficiency of use of resources, whereas a resourceful person would. And you're also a high I, easily distracted. You have a slower pace. And it's just not, some things I'm kind of postpone the unpleasant, or I'll put that off till later, and I'm doing something a little more fun now or whatever. And it can wind up really costing you a lot of time at the end of the day, which I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%.
Well done, ladies. Do you think it's really nice to see in black and white what some limitations are that you easily identified are in your life and active right now? And with that information, what does that mean? Greater awareness. If you use it to regulate yourself, you can actually sort of guide yourself gently back onto course with these things. Kelly can go down rabbit holes with knowledge. Oh, wait, but I have this other priority I need to get done. I'll come back to this later when I have more time. Or I really have some things I'd like to do, or just kind of mess around for a while, but I've also created some deadlines. So Erin, not wasting that time and saying, hey, let me just use this time, check this off my list, and then I'll go do what I want to do. So it really can help both of you reduce these limitations and really accentuate what you're trying to do, whether it's personal or professional.
Love that.
Good job, you guys. Now we get to talk about 2 really interesting things. Our driving forces energize us, and there is also certain stressors that we have when people typically have a different driving force than we do. We get to start with energizers first. So this is good information for you based on your 4 primary driving forces. What energizes you? What are your potential energizers from those? Again, we're going to read your own columns and come up with your top 3. Erin? why don't we start with you? Let's do your energizers. And out of the top 7 that you have, which 3 give you the most energy?
Okay. Erin is energized when able to express imagination. She appreciates beauty and harmony. She is energized by improving her environment. She likes to discover specific knowledge. Erin decides based on intuition. She is energized by completing tasks. She is energized by the pursuit of advancement opportunities. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to go with number 3. She is energized by improving her environment. I think Kelly spoke to this a little bit as well, but yeah, indoors, outdoors, I am energized by improving my environment. That describes me perfectly. I am energized by completing tasks. I really like marking things off of a list. Sometimes I'll put things on a list I've already done just so I can mark them off.
I do that too.
Man, I had a great day.
Or I'll put it on all 3 of my lists so then I get to mark it off 3 times.
It's hilarious. But really true. I find a lot of satisfaction in completing tasks and then completing lists. And it does provide me with a sense of accomplishment and gives me energy then that I take into the next task. It makes me really
Awesome.
ready to start the next one because I feel accomplished. So I am energized by completing tasks. And then the third one that I'm going to choose is kind of torn between actually number 1 and number 7. But I'll go with number 7. I am energized by the pursuit of advancement opportunities.
It's a great one, right?
Yeah, I get excited when I think about what's next, and how I can grow. So,
Well
yeah.
done, Aaron. And I think what's really important here is as you look at these, it's important that you work on improving your environment on a consistent basis. It gives you energy. Getting tasks done. So when you think of wasting time or getting things done and checking them off your list, which gives you more energy? Let's do the one that gets you more energy and checks off your list, right? And also pursuit and advancement opportunities, right? So doing the work, doing what you need to do to try to get that advancement that you're after, that really gives you energy. And so when we know it gives us energy and we choose to consciously do those things, we energize ourselves. Think about that. You're taking control of the wheel of your life and you're saying, I'm going to do what makes me feel good and what gives me energy. Boom. And you've got 3 right there. Good job.
Thank you.
Kelly, how about your energizers?
Sure. Kelly's energizers. Kelly will learn continuously. She is energized by the opportunity to objectively analyze ideas. She is energized by discovering new information. She is energized when able to express imagination. Kelly enjoys experiencing her surroundings. She is energized by thinking out of the box. She wants to feel included. Well, yes, all of these things energize me, and they all help me be more productive. I am going to pick energized by thinking out of the box. I think we've all come to agreement on that one. That I love growth and innovation and new concepts and, different ways that we can do things, honoring our past, but also celebrating what's ahead in the future. Ooh, they're all so good. Kelly is energized when able to express imagination, which I think goes hand in hand with my out of the box thinking. When I'm able to express and talk about or create what's in my imagination, whether that's in written word or through drawings or creative pursuits or even just talking as an expression of my imagination. And I'm torn too between experiencing her surroundings and discovering new information. But because that one is so tied to the others, I'm going to go with experiencing her surroundings. And whether that's being here with the 2 of you in Zoom in my office, right? I get to experience this, or being out in the garden and the yard and working with the flowers and the plants, or escaping to the wilderness for 11 days and just being lost in that moment and being in full immersion of my surroundings is what I really love, whether it's the people, the animals, the plants, but whatever's part of that surrounding, I want to experience it fully.
Very nice. I think that something important to point out here is that I know you very well, sweetheart, and you are energized by all seven of these. You really, really are, including she wants to feel included. When you don't feel
Yes.
included, that's a stressor, which is likely to show up on the next page.
Yes.
And so what I want to share too is that the first three come out of your number one driving force. Okay. 4 and 5 come out of your number two driving force. 6 comes out of your number three, and 7 out of your number four.
Mm,
These are all primary driving forces. These are like nutrients that you need to have on an ongoing, consistent basis in order to feel fulfilled in your life. And so when you pick only 3, I'm just trying to highlight these for you guys. But in all reality, if you could engage all 7 of those, you would really be happy about it. All people, typically speaking. So I'm only trying to highlight the big ones you're picking out, but all 7 need your attention.
that makes perfect sense.
All right. Well, now let's go to the other side of the coin, stressors. Because if we know what energizes us, we could do more of it, get more energy. If we know what stresses us, we can do less of it and be less stressed based on our driving forces. So, Kelly, let's start with you. You have 7 stressors here. Please read them to us and let us know what really stresses you out the most, the top 3.
You got it. Kelly's stressors. Kelly is stressed when knowledge is restricted. She is turned off when people approach ideas subjectively. She is stressed by an environment with no opportunity for intellectual growth. She does not like an overemphasis on function. Kelly gets frustrated with a disregard for balance. She is frustrated by repetitive acts. She gets stressed when individual achievements are recognized. I'm definitely going to go with number 3. Kelly is stressed by an environment with no opportunity for intellectual growth. I'll go with number 5. Kelly gets frustrated with a disregard for balance. And I will I'll go with number 1, when knowledge is restricted.
Well, given that you like to learn as much as you do, there's no opportunity for intellectual growth to learn, to be more, to understand more, and knowledge is restricted. That obviously would not be your
Right.
happy place, right?
Right. Yep.
Very easy to see that that's important that you avoid those kinds of things. And because you're doing your own thing, you actually have lots of opportunity for intellectual growth. And the pursuit of knowledge is really not restricted unless you redirect yourself because you need to do something else instead of go down another rabbit hole of knowledge, right? Which is
Right.
just self regulation. Very good. And then the harmonious, Kelly gets frustrated with a disregard for balance. There's your harmonious right there.
Yeah.
Just balance feels so good to somebody like you that if somebody disregards that, it really can disturb and stress you out, given who you are as a human being and what you value. So, again, on page 21, we're looking at Aaron's stressors now. Aaron, you got 7 too. What are your top 3 stressors?
All right, well, here's the list. Erin does not like an overemphasis on function. She does not enjoy lackluster surroundings. She is stressed when in an unappealing environment. She does not enjoy the learning of excessive information. Conducting extensive research makes Erin stressed. It's funny. She is stressed when success is measured through efficiency, and she gets stressed when she lacks authority. So interesting. Um, I'm going to go with number 4. She does not enjoy the learning of excessive information because the key word there for me is excessive.
Yes.
Just tell me what I need to know. Because I do enjoy learning, but there's a limit to the amount that I want to learn typically about new things. I will go with number 6. She is stressed when success is measured through efficiency. And I think that that one just strikes me because I do place a lot of value on quality work. And so I would rather take my time and do something very thoroughly and do it correctly. So I think about, especially, in work life, than when my success is measured through just getting things marked off of my list more quickly, then I question the quality of my work. Does that make sense?
It
Mhm.
does.
Okay. And then it's so interesting because I read number 2 and 3 like She does not enjoy lackluster surroundings, or she is stressed when in an unappealing environment. And it's so funny because I've never really thought about that for myself. I don't see them as necessarily as stressors. But when I read both of those, I was like, oh, but if I was with the right people, I'd be okay. It wouldn't matter what my surroundings were if I was
Mm-hmm.
with the right person or the right
Very astute.
people, you know? And so that was really interesting to me if I was by myself in those environments. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not sure how I really feel about that. Um, but I would even say then number 5 does make me stressed. And only because typically when I'm, and number 5 is conducting extensive research makes Aaron stressed. It just kind of falls in line with just give me what I need to know to do my job or to get this task marked off of my list. And so when I have to do a deep dive into something just to learn about something in order to do a task, I find that annoying. That is a stressor for me.
Is it exhausting too? Because just the tone of your voice, the way you're talking about it, and the body language, like that would be exhausting.
I'm exhausted just thinking about having to do that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, like it just wears me out. So
Well done.
those would be the top 3 that I would choose for myself.
Well done, ladies. So now you know what your big primary stressors are. You can work on all 7, the 3 that you highlighted, whichever it is, but it's in your hands now to reduce your stress in these areas, which is where you want the power to be, anyways, right? In your own hands.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to page 22, we're coming up towards the end of the report. What we get to look at is your side by side graphs, which are visual representations, which really let you see where you align and where you don't, where there's a bigger divide between you, or very little or none at all between you. And it's just a really good snapshot for that. Do you guys see that the power of that? How you can look at that
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh, the color scheme, everything, the way that this is done, it really makes it easy to see where we are more alike than not.
Yeah.
And then if we go to page 23, what we're doing now is we're blending your driving forces, your top 4 driving forces with your behavioral profile. Okay. We're putting those 2 together and we're saying now, when we put these 2 aspects of yourself, your behavior, how you do what you do, and your driving forces, why you do what you do, what are some things that come out of that that are really powerful? And the first thing we come to are potential behavioral and motivational strengths. So I'd like to flip you guys again on this one. Look at each other's columns and through different lenses of perception, let's identify from the other person's perspective what your top 3 strengths are. Kelly, would you care to go?
All right. Aaron's strengths: an accommodating team member that brings balance to the organization, supports a leader and a cause that brings about beauty or creativity, attentive listening when being presented with relevant facts and figures, will keep sensitive information safe when necessary while also divulging the specifics, takes a methodical approach to implementing changes that can positively impact people and the company, loyal and consistent in using the resources she has been allocated, leads by example in a quiet and methodical way, will take a firm stance when her position or status is questioned. You're so awesome.
Thanks,
These
sister.
are all great strengths of yours, unequivocally. I'm going to pick as the top 3. I'm actually going to go to number 8. Will take a firm stance when her position or status is questioned. I have experienced that with you on a personal level. I don't know how that plays out necessarily in a professional work environment, although we have had conversations about doing that in a professional and work environment. So I think that's why that one specifically stands out for me. And I really admire, not that it's always easy, but your willingness to take that firm stance when you need to. I'm also going to pick number 3, attentive listening when being presented with the relevant facts and figures. When I present relative facts and figures and don't ramble, which is also something that I get caught up in, right? The greatest lessons we have to teach others are the very ones we must also learn ourselves. But the key word there being relevant, that when relevant information is being presented, when we're having a discussion about something that needs to be decided and I'm bringing information to you, yes, you are very attentive in your listening. And we always, I feel, make a good, strong, sound, pretty quick decision so that we can move forward. And I'm going to pick one, an accommodating team member that brings balance to the organization. And this goes back to the yin and yang that we are, I think, for each other. But because of your high I, high S behavioral style, your pace does have a very soothing effect on the environment around you, including me.
Hmm.
Even though my S is lower, having that higher S sometimes helps me actually slow down and lean into the moment, lean into the environment, lean into the situation in a way that not only accommodates your strengths, but is really helpful to me as a human being and as your sister at the same time.
Oh,
Very
thank
nice.
you. Thank you.
All right, Aaron, page 23, Kelly's strengths. Take a look
Ah,
at her top 8 and see what you come up with.
all right, here we go. Kelly's strengths: willing to share knowledge to benefit the team or organization, volunteers her knowledge on many subjects, always willing to share her ideas on how to enhance the surroundings, motivates others to express themselves, tends to promote new ideas to the organization, willing to talk to all types of people about multiple topics, works toward turning conflict into cooperation, and can be the spokesperson or play a supporting role for the team. Also, so good. Such a great list. Very
Mm.
comprehensive. I love it. Oh man. Okay. So the top three that I will choose are I'm going to choose number 7 first.
Mm.
Works towards turning conflict into cooperation. I have seen this play out in your life in so many ways, in so many areas. And it definitely makes sense knowing your drive to be harmonious in all things, and to not like conflict, but you always seek to resolve conflict. It's not that you want to walk away from it or brush it under the rug. Like you really seek resolution in conflict. And so I would say that you do take a very active role in working towards turning conflict into cooperation and to smoothing things out and over with people. So it's very admirable. And I've seen it in work and personal life with me, kids, with everything. So it definitely speaks to just who you are across the board. God, they're all so good. Um,
This is where I interject Jeopardy music. Do, 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 do.
don't pressure me. I will
I'm
crack.
not. That's why I'm interjecting Jeopardy music. Do 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 do
Cut her off, Marcus.
do.
Um, so fun. I'm going to go with number 1, willing to share knowledge to benefit the team or organization. You enjoy doing your deep dive into learning, and then you enjoy sharing what you found with others and helping other people, me specifically, understand the why behind it. And so I really appreciate that because you don't just share facts and knowledge just to share facts and knowledge. It's more purposeful than that. And so there is that benefit to the team, whether it's the team of you and me, right, doing the PIG podcast, your family team, whatever that is. So I appreciate that about you. And I'm going to go with number 4, motivates others to express themselves. I think that you provide a really safe space for people to express themselves, and you ask a lot of questions, and then you listen very intently, and you give people encouragement to express their thoughts and their feelings. But how you handle that information makes you a really safe place to do that without judgment. And so I definitely see that as a strength.
Thank you.
Well done, ladies. So, page 23 has yet again provided us another opportunity to just sort of see yourself through the eyes of your sister or another human being and to really try to understand yourself at a deeper level because they've shared things with you from their heart, what they see, what they know, what they believe, what they value about you. It's beautiful.
It really is. Thank you.
All right, we've got 2 pages to go. If we go to page 24, we get to talk about your potential conflicts. So, this is where your behaviors and your motivators may clash a little bit, right? And work against you. So, let's take your own. Aaron, we'll start with you. Will you please read your 8 potential conflicts and pick the 3 that really stand out to you through your self awareness about, yep, this is real in my life.
Yes. All right. Erin's conflicts. Faces difficulty establishing priorities regarding her feelings. If the environment is shaken, she struggles to speak up to realign it. May withhold the sharing of past experience to meet her security needs. May not share intuitive thoughts if it jeopardizes her security. May put all her eggs in one basket with little regard for return. May struggle to help with daily objectives if she feels rushed. Forgives but has a hard time forgetting. And can come across as stubborn and unwilling to change. Me? Stubborn? That has never been a word I have heard used to describe me at all. Okay. Yeah, this is a good list. This is accurate for me. I am going to choose number 8, can come across as stubborn and unwilling to change. I feel like I have learned so much about myself in recent years, and then especially now continuing to dive through these assessments, that I think that I have actually grown a lot in this area, especially in my willingness to change and to see things differently. But I also really still stand firm in who I am and my experiences. And so I do absolutely understand how things can come across in a different way depending on the circumstance. So I do really see this as a potential conflict, and I'm very aware of that. I'm going to choose number 4. May not share intuitive thoughts if it jeopardizes her security. I do not like to rock the boat. And so I do just kind of like that feeling of security. And so I tend to just shut down and be quiet a little bit if I feel like that is at risk. And I will choose 6. Again, I think that ties back into stuff that we have talked about, which is may struggle to help with daily objectives if she feels rushed. I don't like to feel rushed.
Well done. Well
Yeah.
done. Kelly, how about your conflicts?
Okay, so here's the list. May be too trusting of people as resources. May present facts and figures with too much emotion. Overemphasizes the experience compared to the result. Overly optimistic in her ability to bring balance to any situation. May be ineffective when sharing the details of new methods with others. May use inappropriate forums to express new ideas. Can disclose the agenda to the wrong people. Constructive criticism can be very beneficial if she can focus on the details. I have a question. Is that constructive criticism coming to me or constructive criticism that I'm giving to others?
That is a good question. How would you like to take it?
Because it's a conflict, Kelly's conflicts, I'm going to take it as constructive criticism coming to me if I just focus on the details and that's it, just the details of what's coming at me,
Yeah, that's
not the
good.
emotions. Okay.
That's good. That's exactly what it's about. It's about the details as opposed to the emotions.
Man, they're all good. I was just going to go 1, 2, 3 off the bat, but I have, as I read through them, I am going to choose 1 and 2, maybe too trusting of people as resources, and may present facts and figures with too much emotion. The first one is as a very high I, have a very high level of optimism and trust. And I have learned through experience that trusting people unequivocally has backfired and burned me in some ways that have taught me to just be more cautious and to not just go all in and give everything. That's been a hard lesson to learn through my lifetime. And that people don't always do what they say they're going to do or show up as they say they're going to show up when I believe that they will. And here it says as a resource. So I'm concluding that that's what it means because that's something I really value. That when I say I'm going to do something or I'm going to show up, I deliver on that to the best of my ability and I apologize and take responsibility for it when I don't. And so that's been a lesson that I've had to learn. Presenting facts and figures with too much emotion, I don't think I need to tell the two of you that this is something that I do because both of you know it. You've been on the receiving end of that. I get excited about information or knowledge that I've learned. And so I go into scientist mode and tap into my excitement and emotion and high eye about that and my Italian hands that are going everywhere. So sometimes I can express that with too much emotion. I really like number 5, maybe ineffective when sharing the details of new methods with others because I can over talk and over explain. And so that creates inefficiency instead of focusing on the details, which can create and lead to more efficiency, which is why I asked the question about number 8 on the constructive criticism. So that would have been a number 3 too. They were right there for me.
Well, well done, ladies. Again, what you have here is a page that really heightens your level of self awareness. All you have to do is be aware of these potential conflicts. And when they show up in your life, stop right there, practice the pause, remind yourself of what's going on, and make a conscious choice with intention about how you'd like to move forward, knowing this about yourself. As you do over time, you'll grow tremendous strength within you. And guess what? We get to end on the last page, page 25, your ideal environment. So we're taking your disc and your driving forces, blending them together, and we're saying, hey, here are 8 potential things that you would like in your ideal environment, and you get to choose the 3 that you like the most. Kelly, would you like to start?
Sure. Kelly's ideal environment. A leadership team that is optimistic toward learning new concepts or theories, continuous learning in a team atmosphere where people share openly, a fun and creative working environment, ability to develop new and out of the box ideas with others, the ability to celebrate the success of a project being completed using an innovative approach, the ability to blend her creative and optimistic problem solving approaches, the opportunity to display excitement and fun while getting things done, a supportive environment filled with optimistic people. Can I just choose all 8?
I know, right? I like them
Yes,
all.
I like them all. I'm going to go with a fun and creative working environment, and especially working from home and having the opportunity to collaborate with you every day because we both work from home, and the opportunity to also do the same with Aaron and the way that we've been able to build that together. That fun and creative working environment brings me a lot of joy. Continuous learning in a team atmosphere where people share openly. I think that goes without saying. I love to share new ideas. I love other people to share and contribute. And we come together as a team, we partner, we collaborate, and we knock it out of the ballpark. I love that. And oh gosh, I'm going to go with 6, the ability to blend her creative and optimistic problem solving approaches. I think, again, that speaks to my love for innovation and new ideas and out of the box thinking all in one.
Well done. Well done. They're all true of you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Aaron?
Love it. Okay, Aaron's ideal environment. A leader that appreciates and understands the value of team harmony and follow up and follow through. Time for personal reflection and an appreciation for staying balanced. A credible manager that provides the necessary information. Specific information to support the reasons for change. Time to allow for the completion of current tasks or projects prior to making a change. Rewards for a methodical and persistent drive to better the organization. forum to challenge change for the sake of change, an opportunity to be the silent leader behind the team. Okay. Let's see. My top three are going to be number two, time for personal reflection and an appreciation for staying balanced, something that I am constantly striving for. I place a lot of value on having necessary information. So I am going to go with number three, a credible manager that provides the necessary information. And number five, going back to the time to allow for the completion of current tasks or projects prior to making a change.
Very nice. Very nice. What I like to encourage people to do is to look at this list and figure out how much of this do you already have in your life?
Mm.
And if you do have it in your life, lean into it because you're getting what's in your ideal environment. If you don't have it, then see what you could do, particularly in a situation where it's you two sisters working together. What can you guys do to help each other have as much of this stuff in your ideal environment with each other in the work and the life that you do together so that you both can have the satisfaction and the fulfillment that you're looking for? So it's a really powerful page too if we use it appropriately.
Yeah.
And that really winds up our assessment review, you guys. I hope that our leaders really could get a handle on how fun this is, number one, how informative this is for really necessary information in life. Otherwise, like we said before, you're running blind, when there's so much you could know about yourself and about others, it would help you along the way in this wonderful journey we call life. And that we really just could show everybody how you can do this in a constructive fashion, how helpful it can be, and that there's something here for everybody. If you just want to understand yourself, that's a great place to start. If you want to try to understand others a little bit better so you can communicate with them instead of making assumptions, having judgments, you can understand them and work with them at higher levels. There's a lot of power, a lot of beauty, a lot of wonderful things that come out of understanding this information, turning it into a functional tool in your life, meaning don't leave it in a binder, don't leave it on your computer. Look at it, work on it regularly, talk about it regularly, bring it to life, breathe life into it by engaging it on a consistent basis. And before you know it, it becomes a part of who you are. And once it becomes a part of who you are, it starts to happen more automatically out of habit instead of having to encourage yourself to do it. I've really had a lot of fun working with both of you today. I just love the body language that I've been able to see, the light bulb moments, the satisfaction, the total experience that you guys have had through this process. And I'm really grateful that you had me on to share this with you, to share this with your listeners. And I wish you both vast success with what you now know about yourselves and each other as you move forward in your life as sisters and as podcast hosts on the PIG.
Wow. Thank you, Marcus, for your incredible insight and wisdom. I know how passionate you are about the work that you do, and I've been so privileged to see it, to watch it unfold with you working with other people, and then what a privilege it has been to work with you on these assessments now in a couple of different areas. And you're so thoughtful and wise and thorough. And I always learn so much from you. So thank you so much for being here and for pouring so much of yourself and your time and your energy and your wisdom and your thoughts into us and helping us improve and be better and stronger and to have a deeper understanding of not only how this impacts us personally, but then how it impacts how we work together in producing the podcast. And so this has been a joy. Thank you. Kelly?
Well, I could go on and on and on and on and on. And I could ask lots and lots and lots and lots of questions to bring us to a close today because there's so much application for this information near and far. And I think the biggest takeaway for me through this in the hot seat coaching experience with you, Erin, has been understanding each other at a far greater level and continuing to take this information that we know about each other and that we continue to learn about each other because we keep this at the forefront. And not just deepening our own relationship, but the relationship between our families, the relationship with our listeners, the relationship that we are building with each and every guest who becomes a part of the PIG, and the broader mission that we have to bring stories of life, love, loss, and legacy to the surface and really encouraging people that how you live is the legacy that you're leaving. And if we can live with more awareness about ourselves, more awareness about others, to bridge gaps, to overcome difficulties and challenges, then life becomes really, 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 really great. And it is fun being us on a day in and day out basis. And so I have the privilege and the pleasure of doing life with Marcus every single day and to be able to share his insights and his wisdoms, not just between us in this format, but with everybody who's listening, is a real joy for me because I have watched firsthand the lives that have been impacted by this work over 25 years. And the assessments just keep getting better and better and better because they're very accurate. They're very scientifically validated. This is a very good resource with a very good company. And so I want to, as a call to action, encourage people to really evaluate where you're at in your own life and your business right now, inside your own home and at work. And if this is something that you think could be really beneficial for you, reach out and connect and explore what this could mean for you and for your future. And so with that, Marcus, we would love to have you just share how people can reach out and connect with you and any closing thoughts from you, and we'll wrap it up.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you, ladies. I appreciate just sitting here kind of basking in the love and appreciation that you've just shared with me. It feels good. I love you guys too. And I'm really grateful to be involved with this project and be involved with your listeners. And I just wish you both the best with everything that you do always. So for those of you who'd like to learn more about me, what I do, you can reach out to me on my website, ligcoaching.com. I have a contact page on there. You can just go ahead and click on that and get in touch with me from there. You can also reach me at Marcus, Marcus, at ligcoaching.com. Send me an email. I'm also on social media as well. I've got Facebook presence, Instagram presence, and a LinkedIn presence. So you can find me a bunch of different places. Wherever you find me, please reach out if you're interested. Happy to talk to you.
Thank you, Marcus. This has been amazing. Let's do it again.
Thank you, ladies.
Every relationship has a story, and every story deserves a reset. That's why we created the PIG Relationship Reset, a guided, personalized journey designed to help you and the people you love move from reaction to real connection. This is the very same process that helped Aaron and me rebuild understanding, communication, and compassion after years of quiet disconnect. It wasn't about fixing what was broken. It was about picking up the rug and sweeping out the crumbs to see them for what they really were, without judgment or upset, and deepening what was possible for our relationship and our future. Inside this exclusive program, available only through the PIG podcast, you'll work directly with Marcus across 3 private coaching sessions using your own DISC and driving forces assessments, along with the very same relationship comparison report we used in this 2-part series. You'll explore powerful self-awareness tools and resources that help you discover, understand, and heal together, learning how to communicate without defensiveness, listen without judgment, and reconnect with purpose, intention, and gratitude. As an added bonus, you'll also gain exclusive access to our Living Legacy Journal, a guided companion created to help you reflect, grow, and see yourself and each other more clearly. Begin your journey of rediscovery today because your living legacy is already unfolding. To learn more and begin your own relationship reset, visit thepigpodcast.com/relationship-reset or click the link in the show notes. We can't wait to walk this journey with you. Hearing the stories of others helps us create a more meaningful connection to our own. We hope today's conversation offered you insight, encouragement, or even just a moment to pause and reflect on the story you're living and the legacy you're creating.
If something in this episode moved you, please consider sharing it with someone you love. A small share can make a big impact. You can also join us on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn and connect further at thepigpodcast.com.
And if you're enjoying this podcast, one of the most meaningful ways you can support us is by leaving a 5-star rating, writing a short review, or simply letting us know your thoughts. Your feedback helps us reach others and reminds us why we do this work.
Because the PIG isn't just a podcast. It's a place to remember that even in the midst of grief, life goes on, resilience matters, and love never leaves. Thanks for being on this journey with us. Until next time, hugs and kisses, everyone.